Hey, what's up guys and gals? It's the Tyrant here. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend so far, and welcome back to my weekly Q&A session. This is my favorite time of the week because I get to spend it with you guys, my community members, and I have such a good audience for this series. So thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate it. For those of you who don't know how this works, essentially, you submit questions in the comment section below of this week's video, and I'll select a certain number of them for the following week to answer. You can also hit me up on Twitter at MythicTyrant. So if I don't get to your question for whatever reason, just copy and paste to the following week, or hit me up on Twitter. Twitter's actually the best way to do it. And I have a link in the description below to my Twitter feed. So just click on it and it'll take you right to my page. So it's been a cool week so far. Not a lot has happened, but some good stuff has happened. So for those of you who didn't see the video I posted yesterday, it's been announced that Halo 3 will be made backwards compatible for both Xbox One and Xbox One X later this year, along with Halo Anniversary, Halo 4, and Halo 3 ODST. Really looking forward to that. I know it's not Halo 3 Anniversary, but at least it brings our favorite game back up to the modern era. I'm really looking forward to that. And also, speaking of Halo 3, last week I told you guys that the Axeman and I, a great YouTuber, you should definitely check out his content. He and I are having a debate on whether or not Halo 3 Anniversary should happen. And we've already taped it and everything. We've had our debate. And Axeman should be uploading the video within the next week or so. It's going to be on his site. So if you're not subscribed to him already, it's definitely a good time to do it. Again, he has some excellent content out there. I love his Halo 5 review. It's one of the best I've ever seen, if not the best. He's got a great piece on Halo Combat Evolved being a masterpiece. It's definitely worth checking out, so definitely check out his channel. Aside from that, you know, we, of course, the United States had the 4th of July weekend this past week. If you're in the States, I hope you had a great 4th. I certainly did right here in D.C., and that's basically it. So I don't really have a lot for you today, so let's just go ahead and jump into it. So our first question of the week comes from One-Winged Ice Angel. I'm already not liking this. And Ice Angel asks, MythicTyrant has really strayed from Halo. He used to make awesome legendary and mythic walkthroughs and gameplay vids. What happened? Ouch. I'm not sure if that's a backhanded compliment or a downright insult. I think the term Ice Angel definitely works for this guy. So we have a lot to unpack here. For those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, I got my, I guess, start or recognition on YouTube back in the day from when I did Mythic difficulty in Halo, or specifically Halo 3, which is Legendary All Skulls On, each mission with no saves, no deaths. And after I did that, after I did my Mythic guides for Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo Reach, I decided to sort of backpedal a little bit and do Legendary walkthroughs for all those games and the other ones as well. And each mission with no saves and no deaths, just to get people on the right track if they wanted to try Mythic. If they could beat each mission on Legendary by themselves, I figured that would basically be a segue into trying Mythic out for the first time, so they wouldn't feel so intimidated. Nowadays, I don't do it as much. To point out what he said in the video, you know, he used to make all these awesome Legendary Mythic walkthroughs. I still do. It's just they don't get noticed. When I did my Halo 5 Guardians Legendary walkthrough last year, and I finished it up this year, it hardly got any views. And people said, well, you know, it's because you started too late, which that could be a factor, but I call bullshit, because the only guides that I released relatively even remotely close to the game's release was Halo Reach and Halo 4. That's it. Every other guide was released months, if not years later, and they still did just fine. So timing may have had a factor, but it wasn't the factor. And then later on in 2016, I decided to go ahead and publish my Halo 3 ODST Mythic walkthrough on the site, and not one of those videos got over 1,000 views. That's depressing for this channel. Remember, this site currently has over 30,000 dedicated subscribers, so when not even 1,000 people watch one of those videos, it means they're not interested. And so to go back to the time it took me to release the Halo 5 Guardians walkthrough, this year I was on it for Halo Wars 2. I even started releasing guides before the game came out. I actually had early access to it, and I released my entire Legendary walkthrough within 2 weeks of the game being released. That is hands down the fastest I have ever published a Halo Legendary walkthrough ever, and it still barely got any hits. So the thing of it is, it's just not something that seems very popular on my site anymore. I don't know why. It could be because other people are doing guides now. Maybe other people have, gained some fame from doing their personal guides, and so they'll look at them instead of me. I don't know. But I do know at the end of the day that this is a business. This is my job. It's a job that I love. I love playing the games. I love spending time with you guys. That's the reward that I get for doing this. But it's a job, and so my goal is to make money so I can support myself, so I can support my family. That's important. So when I see stuff that's not doing well, I start trying to experiment with other things that you want to see, that more people are drawn to. And that's what I've been working on. I still do the guides. I have a dedicated time of the week where I actually work on in-game stuff, typically, and usually it's Friday. But if no one watches it, I have to look at other options because, it matters. And it's like any other business. When a product starts not doing as well, you still have to keep the business going on. You still have to keep it above water. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to make some changes. Now, if it's something that you really enjoy, for example, my legendary walkthroughs or mythic walkthroughs, then there's only so much I can do to promote myself. I can go on Twitter, I can go on Facebook, I can go on Google+. But if you want to help me out, that's the best I can do. There's only so much I can do. If you want to help me get more hits on those videos by retweeting it or by sharing it on Facebook or by taking to the Halo 5 or the Halo Waypoint forums, that works too. And some of you, to your defense, have, but only a couple have in terms of the broader spectrum, which is the 30,000 people who are on this site. So the take that I get on that is that people aren't really as intrigued by them as they used to be. And again, I don't know the reason for it, but because of that, I have less of a focus on them now. I still do them, but they're not the foremost important, or they're not the most important thing on this site at the moment. And if the viewership changes that, and people start watching those guides again, I'll shift my focus in that direction. But until then, I'm doing what I feel like my community members overall want to see most. I know that not everyone's going to be happy with everything I post all the time. Believe me, I see it in the comments section. One of the things that sort of wears down on you with this job is the people who just kind of randomly stop by and troll your videos. And most of you, especially my weekend crowd, y'all are really good. And so I know that's not you. But it just kind of wears down on you after a while, and you sort of have to try to shift your focus as much as possible. And one last thing I wanted to add about those legendary walkthroughs is they're not easy to make. It's not something I could just whip up in an afternoon. For those of you who've been tuning into my live streams over the last few weeks, I've been going through the past Halo games, starting from Combat Evolved, then moving on to 2, then 3. We'll start with ODST tomorrow. And so you're getting a first-hand look at what I go through when I'm starting to create these guides. Keep in mind that all these games, except for Halo 5, I haven't played seriously in years. And when I say seriously, I'll grab clips, from gameplay so I can, post it in, or use it as an example in one of my videos, but I haven't actually sat down and replayed any of these games on Legendary or Mythic in years. And so you saw how long that took. This was unscripted, unedited. I just went ahead and did it. And, even with the deaths and everything, it took me, I think, with even Combat Evolved, maybe somewhere along the lines of 10 to 12 hours to do. Now imagine trying to do a guide or create a guide where you have to go through each and every one of those missions without dying once. That takes a hell of a lot longer than just streaming me going through uncandidly, trying to beat the game even with deaths. So I don't want to take all this time to make content that no one's going to watch. It's not good for me. It's not good for my business. It's not good for my family. I know that's a bit long-winded. I'm not trying to lash out at this person, but for those wondering why I do what I do now and don't focus quite as much as I used to on the guides, that's why. So I hope that answers the question. Like I said, no hate, just letting you know. Our next question comes from Blackwing799. And Blackwing asks, should Warzone have a ranked variant where you have fixed loadouts? So I haven't played a lot of standard Warzone. Usually I just play Warzone Firefight. And here's the thing. It's not a bad idea, but Halo is different now than what it used to be. Now you have rec packs and stuff, like them or not, they're there. Whereas you talk about Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, Halo 3, yes, you had certain a certain set of weapons that you would start with. You had your starting weapons, and then you'd have weapon placements around the maps. People even had spawn timers, you know, for like the rocket launcher or the sniper rifle, and it just isn't like that anymore. So I'm not sure if ranked would work well with the way the game is currently constructed. I think that if they were able to go back and make maps and have weapon placements, that's fine. But even then, in Warzone, it's 12 versus 12. That's a lot of players. And again, those are huge maps at the same time. So I don't know if it would work quite as well. But it's an interesting concept, and I appreciate you asking that question, Blackwing. Thank you. Our next question comes from Mudkip454. And Mudkip asks, why does Halo 5 get so boring so quick? You would think that it's really competitive. It wouldn't. Whew. Well, I guess that's one opinion. I don't think it's boring. I mean, I can kind of understand why it gets old for some people, because it gets a little repetitive after a while. You know, you see me playing Warzone Firefight week after week. In the last few weeks, I've taken a break from doing that just because it's pretty much the same thing over and over again. You know, you fight different rounds, you fight some bosses, then you fight the last boss, and everyone has tanks and everything. It does get old, but it's still fun. So maybe that's it. I mean, that's the only thing I can really think of. So it's an interesting concept. And what do you think, Mudkip? I mean, what made you bored of it? When did you think that it was actually becoming boring? Let me know in the comments below or on Twitter. Our next question comes from Hesitated Cobra. Always good hearing from this snake. And Hesitated Cobra asks, do you believe that the marketing for Halo 6 will not be something misleading like they did with Halo 5 Guardians, and that 343 will never make the same mistake again? Thanks for answering my comments. Love your comment, or love your content. Keep up the great work. I appreciate that, Cobra. You know, interesting that people really harp on Halo 5 for having that, you know, marketing campaign. I thought Halo 2 was far more misleading, to be honest with you. You know, for those of you who are old enough to remember Halo 2 when it first came out, or when they first started doing trailers for it, I mean, the entire marketing campaign was that the Covenant were invading Earth, that this was humanity's last stand. And out of the 14 playable missions in that game, only 2 of them took place on the surface of the Earth. Out of 14 missions, 2. I mean, that made me so mad. And I just, to me, that was far more deceptive than Halo 5. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad they didn't go the route that they did for Hunt the Truth. Just because, you know, one Spartan versus another, that doesn't sound like Halo. It's supposed to be humanity versus aliens. I don't even know who came up with that idiotic concept. I mean, I know they recently, or not recently, but they've legalized recreational marijuana, which I'm fine with, by the way. And it makes me wonder what they were smoking when they came up with that idea, or the rest of Halo 5. Personally, I like the Halo 5 that they have now better than what they may have done with the Hunt the Truth version. Again, that's just my own personal opinion. I do agree that it was a bit misleading in terms of the marketing, and I'm sure they've learned their lesson from it. I'm sure they're not going to do that this time. They seem to be making a lot of changes in terms of the development for the next game. So I have a lot of confidence that, you know, they're going to make sure everything's on par, not just the game itself, but everything leading up to it. All the campaigning, all the ads, it should be right on sync with the actual game itself. So it's good that you brought that up, Cobra, and I certainly appreciate you stopping by. Our next question comes from Luke in Gold. Always good to hear from you, Silver. And Luke asks, for Halo 6, do you think 343 will go back to a classic gameplay style, stick with what they've got now, or somewhere in between? You know, I have no doubt that they're going to try something new. I mean, they've done that with every Halo game, and even Bungie did that back in the day. Every Halo game had something new and different to it. In fact, I think probably the least diverse games in terms of Spartan mechanics, for example, are Halo Reach and Halo 4. So, but it also looks like they're trying to do some throwbacks as well. They're trying to make it feel a little bit more classic in some ways. That's why you saw the removal of armor abilities in Halo 5 in favor of the thruster pack system, which I know some people don't like. Personally, I like it a lot better than armor abilities. More than likely, they're going to try some sort of a hybrid. Don't know what they're going to try yet, but it will be interesting to find out. So that's an excellent question, Luke. Thank you. Our next question is from Golden Elite 10. There's a lot of gold here today. And Golden Elite asks, depending on how big of a role Atriox will play in Halo 6, could you see a game where you play as Atriox when he was being thrown into the battles where brutes never returned and he made his legacy, then maybe progressing to his rebellion? Maybe. I've always found it a hard concept to grasp of being a brute in either multiplayer or campaign, just because of their overall size. I'm not counting it out. I think it could be done. I don't know if it would be done with a first-person shooter. It might be something more along the lines of Spartan Assault, or another RTS game. But I think it's possible. I mean, Atriox is a very interesting character. He's a great villain, probably the best we've seen in a while. And I'd certainly like to see more lore about him. At the very least, they could... No, I shouldn't be saying this. Books or movies. I know I usually criticize outside content. It's not that I'm against it. I just don't want the games to have to rely on it for information. But... I mean, I think it's possible. I think that it would take probably a lot of fine-tuning, but it would be something I think that it would have a lot of support from the community. So that's something great to bring up, Golden Elite, and it's always good to see you, man. Thanks for stopping by. Our next question comes from Harambe. He's back again! What's going on, my friend? And by the way, again, I've mentioned this before, but give a hand to this guy because he actually makes an effort in the comment section below to actually put the timestamps to all the questions, so you guys can always fast forward to it, especially if you're one of the ones who asked a question that got accepted into it. So definitely give it up for this guy, especially after being shot. So Harambe asked, do you think Bungie gives a shit anymore? Oh, ouch. Well, first of all, I'm going to flat out say yes. It may not always seem like it, but they do. I have, a few of my actual close friends are employees over there at Bungie. And yes, they do. You have to remember, though, Bungie does their own thing. They don't care what the rest of the world thinks. They want to create their own art. And we've always seen that with them. I think people are afraid they're selling out now because all the old Halo titles are now coming to Xbox One under Microsoft's name. Keep in mind, Microsoft was partnered with them back then, and Microsoft owns Halo now. Bungie really doesn't have much of a say in it. I think they may have still have some of the old props for the live action films, but at the end of the day, Bungie's focusing on Destiny now, and this is their art. This is what they want to do. This is their creation. I don't think Bungie's selling out. And they never have, in my opinion. Is their work perfect? No, it's never been perfect, but it's still great, it's still wonderful, and personally, I'm looking forward to Destiny 2, and I hope you are too. Let me know in the comments below if you're looking forward to Destiny 2. But Harambe, thanks for stopping by, man. I know it's not easy coming back from the dead. Our next question comes from Colin Jones, and Colin asks, if Halo 6 is a fail, hopefully it isn't, do you think that in 20 or 30 years we would get something like a Halo Legacy game, which is not just vaguely remastered, but fully reimagined games? To be honest with you, with the way the administration's going right now, I'm not sure humanity's going to be around in 20 or 30 years. But to that end, it's funny that you bring that up, because back in the days where I was playing Halo 3, I'd always wanted a redone Halo Combat Evolved campaign that was done with the Halo 3 engine and with online co-op and all that stuff. The graphics would be the same. To be honest with you, no, I don't think they're going to ever do that. Even if Halo 6 is a flop, either 343 is going to shut down after that, or I'm not really sure what they would do. To be honest with you, if it's a flop, they would either move on to another game or shut the company down. But no, I don't think they would go back and do that because they're already remastering the games. The remasters themselves don't sell very well. If you actually look at the numbers, every other AAA title has beat out the remasters, including Halo Wars, which wasn't even a direct release or a direct AAA title. So no, I don't think they'd ever go that route. I mean, I'd like for them to. I think it'd be interesting, but the question is, would they do it right? Because they haven't really received or earned a lot of faith from the community by some of the stuff they've done recently, with maybe the exception of Halo Wars 2. So, it's a cool concept. It would be nice if they did it, but I don't think they would for the aforementioned reasons. But it's a nice question, Colin. It's something cool to think about, so thanks for the happy thought at the very least. Our next question comes from the Sighted Aviator. Well, that's pretty cool. And Aviator asks, would you like a Halo game based around the planet Onyx? It would go around the story of the book, and you would change the person you play as every few missions. So kind of like ODST, right? I think that'd be a great idea. I haven't read Ghost of Onyx fully. I read about half of it, and then Halo 3 came out, and I was like, screw books, I want to play. Yeah, absolutely. It gives us a little bit more backstory on Blue Team, and it would probably tie in a little bit better to the current Halo universe. So I say absolutely. I think it'd be a great game. And after Halo 6, I mean, I've said in past videos, I would much rather them go back and create games around events that happened in the past rather than continuing to convolute the future. So absolutely, I think it's a great idea. And thank you, Sighted Advisor, or Sighted Aviator. Whoops, two different things. Sighted Aviator, for bringing that up. Great question. And our final question of the week comes from Alec, as in Alec 006. And Alec asks, when Master Chief inevitably dies, do you think he should take off his helmet and let us get a full view of his face before his death? Or should his face be hidden forever? Whew. This has been largely debated in the Halo community because a lot of people want to see what the Master Chief looks like. But to be honest with you, no, I don't think they should ever do that. In fact, he even mentioned later on in his question, well, they kind of revealed, part of his face at the end of Halo 4 on Legendary, and to me, that was a huge mistake. The whole point in never seeing Master Chief's face is because he's supposed to be you, the player. You're supposed to feel like the Chief. That's why the rookie in ODST was a silent protagonist, sort of like Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. You're supposed to feel like you are the player. And while that seems to have changed a lot in the last few games, just because the characters, especially Master Chief and Cortana, have a much more in-depth personality than they used to, and there's just a lot of depth to them. It's still, no, I don't think that's a great idea. I think it should remain a mystery. That's pretty much all I can say. But the thing of it is, even if it is the last time you see him, don't you want it to remain a mystery? Don't you want to, always remember Master Chief in his, kick-ass, space-age Spartan costume, or Spartan armor, I should say, costume, whoops, Spartan armor, rather than, a 40 or 50-year-old man? I feel like that would ruin it for me. And you know what? Why don't all of you, not just Alec here, but why don't all of you let me know in the comments below what you would like to see. Would you like Master Chief to remain a secret, his identity, in terms of what he looks like, to remain under the mask, under the helmet, or do you want to see his face, if he's not going to be in the series anymore? And that brings an end to this week's Q&A session, so I really appreciate all of you being here. Sorry for stuttering a little bit. I'm a little bit out of breath. But yeah, let me know your opinions in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Twitter at MythicTyrant. And like I said earlier, there is a link to my Twitter page in the description below. And if you like this video and you want to see more, click that subscribe button for more great content every single day right here on MythicTyrant.com. We'll pick up with the Halo 3 ODST's live stream tomorrow. Can't wait for that. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much for watching, guys and gals. I'll catch you right back here next time. And as always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.